10 most powerful canids on Earth. Some people are busy arguing over whose pet dog is the strongest, but we are taking it a step further. We're going to talk about the 10 most powerful canids on Earth. Maybe some of these canids on this list could be your pet. Plenty of them couldn't be. All of them are animals you don't want to mess with. We're going to take a lot of facets into consideration here because there is a lot to talk about when it comes to power. Watch out, these 10 canids aren't stopping for anything. Coyote. The first canid on our list is the coyote. Coyotes are found all over North America, from Washington to Maine, down throughout California and Texas and Mexico. They are close relatives with the gray wolf, but are smaller. However, you should never think of a coyote as small. Coyotes are on average the 6th largest wild dog in the world. They're usually about 30 to 40 pounds, and in some cases can even reach weights of 72 pounds. Coyotes are usually about 4.5 feet long. Coyotes hunt in packs. However, you'll often hear that lone coyote howl, a famous sound throughout much of North America. Some animals that coyotes will hunt are rodents, rabbits, birds, and deer. And when they attack, they have a strong bite. Let's take a look at a coyote's bite force quotient, or BFQ. The BFQ represents an animal's bite force while also taking into account its size. So it isn't just about the bite, but the bite based on its size. And a coyote has a BFQ of 88. To give you an idea of what that means, an American black bear has a BFQ of 64, and a brown bear has a BFQ of 78. Pound for pound, the coyote's bite is stronger. Red fox. Next we have the red fox, the largest of the true foxes. The red fox is also found in North America, among many other places. You can find them in Europe, in Northern Africa, in much of Asia. You can even find them as far north as the Arctic Circle. Red foxes are about 3 feet long and weigh between 20 and 30 pounds in most cases. Yes, they're smaller than coyotes, but don't count them out. Red foxes have long bodies and relatively short limbs, but they make up for it with ferocity. They're lighter than most similarly sized dogs, but they are able to jump incredible heights, noted as clearing fences 6 feet and 7 inches high. And the BFQ we talked about with coyotes being 88, for red foxes is 92. They pack a punch in a smaller size. Most humans don't have to worry about foxes, but if a fox was ever upset with you, you do not want your hand anywhere near that mouth. Occasionally, people have made foxes into pets, but some canids are far more common as pets. Alabai. To talk about a canid that isn't wild and much more domesticated, we will pivot to the Alabai. The Alabai is also known as the Central Asian Shepherd Dog, and it is largely used by Central Asian people to guard their livestock from predators, but also to guard the people themselves. They are excellent guard dogs, no matter if you have goats or sheep that need protecting, or if you're worried about your own livelihood. They have calm temperaments, but when danger arrives, they can jump into action and handle it quickly. In addition to the fact that they run 20 to 23 miles per hour, they are also humongous. The males stand at a minimum of 28 inches tall, and they will weigh at least 110 pounds. Oftentimes, Alabais will hit 200 pounds. And for every pound of that big body comes incredible strength. These are muscular dogs that can jump, pounce, attack, and when it comes to biting, watch out. They have a bite force that is between 500 to 650 pounds per square inch. It is one of the strongest bite forces among domestic dogs. So now you're probably wondering, which domestic dog has the strongest bite force? Kangal. Next on our list, we just so happen to have the domestic dog with the strongest bite force on the planet, the Kangal. So, that Alabai had a bite force between 500 and 650 pounds per square inch. The Kangal has a bite force of 743 pounds per square inch. Just imagine the sheer force of that coming down on you, or anyone who tangles with a Kangal. 743, that is how you spell trouble in numbers. The Kangal is another type of shepherd dog, obviously also another excellent guardian for humans and animals alike. So a Kangal is similar to an Alabai, but it has a stronger bite force. And get this, it's even bigger. It will be over 110 pounds, just like the Alabai, but instead of standing just 28 inches tall at the shoulder, Kangals are usually 30 inches or taller. So if you were already worried about the humongous Alabai with the strong bite force, a Kangal is bigger. It has a stronger bite force and, oh, did we mention it's also faster? They can run 35 miles per hour. It is scarier in every conceivable way. But luckily, people don't run into them in the wild, not like some of these other canids. Bush dog. Now, if you ran into our next canid, the bush dog, it would be a pretty unique experience. Although their range is throughout much of South America, they are very rare. In fact, when the species was first discovered by scientists, it was thought they were extinct because it was only their fossils that were found in Brazilian caves. But later, they were discovered to still exist in small numbers. Now, bush dogs aren't enormous or anything. They're usually about 2.5 feet long, stand about a foot tall at the shoulder, and can weigh around 18 pounds. But do not underestimate these feisty little canids. When comparing them to the grey wolf, for instance, the grey wolf is 7 times their size, but the grey wolf's bite is only twice as strong. Bush dogs pack a punch for every ounce that they are, and they are also one of only 3 canid species that has a trenchant heel dentition, a single cusp on the lower carnassial tooth, which increases the cutting blade length. Not only is it a strong jaw, but those teeth inside the jaws are deadly too. In fact, if not for researchers scaring the bush dogs off, there was an instance where 6 of them nearly killed a 500+ pound tapir when attacking it. That's no small feat when tapirs are not only strong and vicious, but in this particular case about 5 times the weight of all the bush dogs. These little guys can be feisty. Arctic fox. Next, we have another fox, the Arctic fox, sometimes called the white fox or the polar fox. This canid is about the same size as a bush dog. They can be a bit bigger at times, but typically are also about 2 to 2.5 feet long. They usually weigh about 20 pounds. As made apparent by the name, Arctic foxes live in the Arctic. Canids equipped with warm, fluffy white fur to keep them warm in cold environments, and also exceptional for keeping them hidden when hunting their prey. Arctic foxes are troopers, enduring the freezing cold temperatures, and they still are successful predators. Usually they hunt lemmings, voles, hares, and birds. And when they get their jaws on their prey, watch out. The BFQ is 97, even stronger than a mark of 92 in the larger cousin, the red fox. And even though the little and vicious canids are fun, the canids on our list only get bigger and bigger. Dingo. The dingo is next on our list, and this canid is built to hunt. Its body was designed to make it fast, agile, and with exceptional stamina. Dingoes are medium-sized canids, but they are extremely powerful among all canids. They're usually around 4.5 feet long and weigh between 35 to 40 pounds. Dingoes are found in Australia, so they hunt many animals like rodents and lizards, and also wallabies, wombats, and kangaroos. Kangaroos are no easy opponent, yet dingoes will still take them on. And if you try to outrun a hungry dingo, you'll have to run faster than 37 miles per hour for long distances. And we keep looking at the BFQ, the bite force quotient, because it is important knowing how strong a bite is for a canid relative to its size. Of all the wild dogs on our list, the dingo has the strongest BFQ thus far at 125. For a little comparison to our big cat friends, a cougar is 108 and a cheetah is 119. The dingo outbites them both. Dhole. Next, we head to Asia and find a canid native to many of these parts, the dhole. Long ago, they used to live throughout much of Europe as well, and some claims say they even inhabited North America. But now they are a wild canid living in Asia. In fact, on average, they are the largest canid that you'll find in Asia. They are also the 7th largest wild canid, right behind the coyote. Dholes will often weigh around 45 pounds and measure between 4 to 4.5 feet long. It is similar to many canids, but also possesses some key differences, especially with its wide and massive skull, which makes it look akin to a hyena. Instead of having 7 lower molars like most canids, the dhole has 6. Instead of having 2 to 4 cusps, the dhole has 1. Its entire mouth is so different, you're probably thinking its bark is worse than its bite. Wrong. Think about the bite of a lion. Deadly lions have a BFQ of 128. The dhole has a BFQ of 132. Luckily, the dhole is not as big as the lion, or else we'd all be in trouble. And if the bite doesn't have you convinced, listen to this. Packs of dholes attack and defeat large animals, like wild boar, water buffalo, and even the apex predator of Asia, the tiger. Not only are dholes powerful, they apparently have no fear. African wild dog. Okay everyone, watch your fingers, it's the African wild dog, the wild canid with the strongest bite force quotient. That's right, the African wild dog has a BFQ of 138, more than the jaguar at 134, and more than the clouded leopard at 137. You cannot have a list of most powerful canids and not include the strong jaws of the African wild dog. And it is the largest wild canid in all of Africa, along with being the 5th largest wild canid on Earth. In fact, the only canids bigger than the African wild dog are wolves. The African wild dog can weigh 65 pounds and is more than 4.5 feet long. It is bulky and solidly built, standing 30 inches at the shoulder. African wild dogs will use their excellent stamina to wear their prey out, being able to sustain speeds of 37 miles per hour for 3 miles or more. And when they go into an all-out sprint, they can hit speeds of 44 miles per hour, the same speed as a greyhound. Power and speed, and that strong bite, but they're still no match for our next candidate. Grey wolf. Now, you could put many wolves on this list, but let's take the most powerful of all wolves, and subsequently, by all measures, the most powerful of all canids. That's the grey wolf. Sure, the African wild dog may have the grey wolf beat in BFQ, but just barely. The African wild dog has a BFQ of 138, the grey wolf has a BFQ of 136, the second highest of any canid. But where grey wolves have everyone else beat is in size. They are the largest wild canids on the planet. Grey wolves on average are 145 pounds, more than twice the weight of the African wild dog. And plenty of them reach weights of 160, 170, some even hit 190. These are powerful, muscular, lethal canids, capable of taking down moose when they hunt in packs. They're 6 to 6.5 feet long, and they sustain speeds between 30 to 37 miles per hour for long distances. Large and muscular, deadly jaws, horrifying speed. The grey wolf does not have a flaw. You just better hope that there is nothing about you that looks tasty to a grey wolf, because this is a canid you would never stand a chance against.